this is not actually LEGO, but wait, hear me out. This is the RUF GT made by CaDA, and if you live under a rock and don't know who CaDA are, in short they are one of the most legitimate LEGO alternatives on the market, and they only release original and licensed sets. This RUF GT was kindly sent to me by those good folks over at waverc.com, and in the video we are going to take an in-depth look at this set. I will share the good, the bad and the ugly to ultimately find out if this compares to LEGO and ask the question, is it worth it? Make sure to stick around because WaveRC didn't just send me one set, they sent me two. The second set is actually a CaDA Bricks RC vehicle and is more suited to an alternative of a LEGO Speed Champions set. So keep an eye out for that one later. But if you do want to check these guys out, take a look in the description where I have linked the WaveRC website as well as the two models featured in this video. The CaDA RUF GT set number C63006W is a 1 to 10 scale model. It has a respectable 1,655 pieces and currently retailing for $104.99 US for the non-motorized version and $154.99 US for the motorized version. But first things first, I am actually in love with the CaDA set boxes. The box comes in a matte finish with an embossed gloss model smack bang in the middle. It's actually a really good sign when the box comes with such great details. Just as the bottom right, you can see it says optional motorization, so if you do go for the non-motorized version, you can in fact pick up the required parts later on if you change your mind. And just for pure inclusivity, they have also warned us of a choking hazard for small parts in 33 different languages. Once we take the lid off the box, we are greeted by two more boxes, which has this awesome white outline graphic of the RUF GT we are currently building. Again, this is just another clean touch that wasn't necessary, but makes the experience that much better. Within these two boxes were a plethora of different bags and parts, as well as one decently sized instruction manual. The first few pages just run through some features and tips to understand some of the larger parts, as well as a short tutorial on how to use the CaDA branded brick separator. One of my main issues with this model was a confusing amount of bags. Some had numbers, some had nothing. Now, if I would have actually read the first few pages, I probably would have understood better, but instead I opened all the bags within each box and just spent hours trying to find each part I needed. But in my defense, look at this page, and someone please explain to me how this actually makes sense. Why does each step use bag 4, and why do some bags have no numbers? But one final gripe with the parts is that some bags had the same part as other bags, so I had to sift through multiple containers trying to find the same part, so sorting the parts beforehand probably would have been extremely beneficial to me. Moving on to the actual model though, this build wasn't that hard, but it also wasn't easy. There was a few tricky bits and a few bits that just didn't make sense, but if you're buying a set like this, you like a challenge, and you certainly got that with this set. Although it was extremely fun and satisfying to build, and the end result was so much better than I thought. The bricks, clips, connectors and panels all seemed really high quality, although sometimes they were a little hard to clip together and required much more force than you would need with LEGO, but overall the build seems very strong and sturdy, so perhaps the added pressure was to increase the strength. Starting at the front of the build, the first thing you notice are the gold racing stripes flowing over the bonnet up to the roof, and these are in fact printed, which I'm glad, because placing these straight could have been an absolute nightmare. The headlights are pretty unique too, with these translucent dome pieces, and the front bumper just makes this car look aggressive and fast. But nothing's perfect, because on the front you are greeted with 4 stickers, those being the air intakes on the left and the right, the grille in the centre and the RUF logo that sits across the 2 separate pieces, which I'm not that much of a fan of. The bonnet does actually open and stays in place too, with help from a little catch here. Once opened, you are greeted with this beautiful steering and suspension system, which again was a pleasure to build. From the side you can really start seeing the incredible shape of this model. you can see the use of these flexi pieces that flow out from the rear quarter, around the door and across the windscreen to really outline the edges. Some people don't like these pieces, but I really think they elevate the detail, and the wide wheel arches really do give this model an incredibly wide stance, especially the rear arches. One of the favourite features on this model are the doors. Thanks to some strategically placed suspension elements, the doors are now spring loaded, which means they will not randomly open or close if the model isn't perfectly flat. They require a tiny amount of force to open and then they snap back shut, but to me that idea is fantastic. But can we just appreciate how stunning the wheels are? These 5-spoke RUF branded wheels look incredible, and the use of actual brake discs really does make it pop, but my brain nearly popped when I was attempting to place these tiny 1-stud RUF stickers on the wheel hubs. Yes, they're stickers, and yes, they were unnecessarily hard to place, and there was 4 of them. Well no, there was actually 10 of them. If we include the 5 speedometer stickers on the dashboard and the 1 extra sticker on the centre of the steering wheel. The dashboard was an interesting build to say the least, but came together nicely in the end. That's after I had about 5 breakdowns trying to place the odometer stickers. CaDA also branded these seats as luxury sports seats, to which I agree. The bucket seats look awesome, although I would have liked a tiny bit of a colour variation to make them a little more visible. But to cap off the interior, we also have the steering wheel that actually works. Yes, this vehicle does in fact have working steering. The rear of this model really does show the awesome and aggressive look they were going for, and you can also really see that width. Starting at the bottom, these dual exhausts are huge and they are surrounded by the diffuser that really does stand out. On the rear left and the rear right quarters, you can see the 2 additional stickers that are simulating some more vents. But don't worry, this Dutch RUF GT license plate is actually a printed piece, which we would never complain about. The rear lights were made up of 4 oddly shaped translucent red panels, each taking around 10 to 15 minutes to construct, as the whole quarter was built around them and then clipped on, but the end result was worth the grind. And finally, we have the ducktail spoiler on the rear. This is not only visual, but also has a purpose. Use it as a small handle to open the engine bay and unveil the engine with actual moving pistons. As mentioned, this does have working suspension, and it's pretty good to say the least. Using little to no pressure at all, you can see how springy this model actually is. Although I wouldn't recommend dropping this from big heights, although it's strong enough to withstand smaller drop tests. I think falling off a roof would do it no good at all, but accidents can happen and suspension might help. Overall, I am extremely happy with how this build turned out, and I'm actually quite surprised. I came into this build not expecting much. I've always seen CaDA as a knockoff brand of LEGO, but it's in fact a healthy equivalent. Don't get me wrong, I'm a die-hard LEGO fan, and personally to me, LEGO is still my number 1, but as alternatives go, CaDA is extremely good, and I do honestly recommend it. Price wise, CaDA does seem a little cheaper compared to LEGO, and they also have a huge variety of licensed and unique models that I have never seen in LEGO. There are pros and cons to both. No one is perfect, but both are extremely enjoyable and highly detailed. So if you have an open mind and would like to try something different, by all means give CaDA a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. And again, the link for this model will be down in the description. But now that secret second build I mentioned at the start of the video is set C51092W. The 120 scale Fiat Abarth Rally Edition. This set has only 216 pieces and retails for the small price of $34.99 US. Granted, this is a little more expensive than your Speed Champion set, but this also does double up as an RC car. We again have the matte black box with an embossed gloss version of the model, which I'll never get tired of. On the back it shows what is possible using the CaDA Smart app. This is quite interesting because you can link your phone to the model via Bluetooth and play around with loads of features. You could use your phone as a remote, or you could even create custom paths and programs to make the car do specific routes and different commands, adjust the timings and everything. It's a really cool addition to play around with. Oh, and let's not forget the biggest mystery of this set. Why is there 34 languages on the small parts choking hazard warning, but the RUF only has 33? What is this mystery language, and why don't they need to know about the RUF warning too? One thing I cannot get my head around though is the amount of plastic that needs to be used. Now, I'm not going to preach about saving the planet, but can someone just tell me why all of these parts need to come in separate plastic bags? The car has 4 wheel arches, for example. All 4 of them came in separate plastic packaging. On the RUF, the instruction manual even came in a plastic bag. Albeit, this is a cool and unique model, but I personally think this is more aimed at a younger audience. The build was really easy, it took hardly any time at all, and believe it or not, some of the parts were actually huge. Being an RC model, the whole chassis is one solid piece, then you just add bricks around it, so essentially the vehicle was large enough before you even started. Some of the other larger parts were the front and back windows, both of them essentially made up the entire roof of the model. Now, I'm not saying that is an issue, but it's just adding to the fact that this was a little too easy. Well, that is until we got to the stickers. The biggest upset for me on this model has to be the stickers. There was just so many of them for such a small set, and they were literally the exact size for each piece they needed to go on. Which means if the placement was not perfect, then you just have overhanging stickers, and that would look horrific. There was a few times I needed to peel the sticker off and replace them, and this was proving more difficult each time. With every peel off, the thin and flimsy stickers tend to roll up and become harder to place, so there's quite a lot of pressure to get them right on the very first attempt. I'm also not a fan of the stickers that overlap multiple pieces. Like this side, for example, this one sticker overlaps about 5 different pieces. Not very friendly if you decide to take some parts off. Not that you would anyway. The RC function is a nice touch though. It's just fun to mess around with, and it's not something we see all too much within LEGO, and if we do, it tends to be on a lot more expensive sets than $35. Luckily, batteries are a lot cheaper now because you need 5 of them bad boys to fuel this model, and they're a mixture of AA and AAA. Be careful though, because I'm not too sure on the sturdiness. Day to day, easy use crashing into walls and doors seem fine, but if you somehow drive this off your desk, I'm not too sure it will hold up. Let's be honest though, when are you really going to drive this off your desk? Overall though, the model does actually look pretty cool, but personally I won't be rushing back to get one of these smaller RC brick builds, but I can honestly see the appeal, definitely for the younger audience to be fair, and adults too. A Fiat rally car is a collector's dream if you're into that, and realistically it doesn't actually look bad. In fact, I like the model. The large amount of stickers are annoying, but without them it would just look plain and boring. Although the build was quick and easy, it was still fun. And fun is what I look for when building these models. So if you're looking for a fun, cool RC build, then I also recommend this set. But there we have it. Again, a huge thanks to Wave RC for sending these over for review. Please do check them out through the links in the description. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will definitely be seeing you in the next one.